The most overlooked leadership skill, the one that's all about you, self-awareness. Let's unfold. So, self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand your emotions, behaviors, strengths, weaknesses, and more importantly, their effects on others. That's usually the part that people always miss. But we got to dive a little bit deeper because there are two different types of self awareness. You have internal, and the internal is really knowing your values, your passions, and even your triggers. And then you also have the external self awareness, which is that last part that I talked about briefly, which is understanding how others perceive you. And I think this is the one that a lot of people overlook because honestly, it is the most uncomfortable. And a lot of times when we get said feedback about our external, a lot of times it can be discouraging because we're hearing someone critique us, or either that was great. And I think more times than not, we see the positive, not really as feedback, but just praise, when really both sides are on the same coin. That's important feedback that we need so we can be self aware. Because whether you're someone that is a leader or in a leadership role, or you're a team member, it doesn't really matter because we all have impact. We have to understand that it doesn't matter how small the interaction is. Impact is everywhere and it's in every moment of our everyday life, which is why it's so important to understand and have and cultivate our self-awareness, both internally and externally. But why is self-awareness even important in leadership? It helps with effective decision making. Leaders who understand their emotional triggers, they make more thoughtful and less impulsive decisions. Think about it, right? Have you ever been on a team, whether it's a sports team or it's in the corporate world? You are getting close to a deadline and something goes wrong. And now the project could potentially be delayed. Or let's say you're in a basketball game. You only have 10 seconds left and your team is down by 3, but they've been locking up your best shooter. What do you do? How do you respond in these moments of great pressure? Even if it's not in the corporate world, if it's not in sports, let's say you're late to a meeting. I know for me, I get very anxious. I do not like being late. I get frustrated at everything because now in my mind, I'm more so thinking about they're going to be upset. I'm late. I messed this up. I messed up the entire evening. And I'm not really, honestly, I'm not thinking about how my emotions and my portrayal of those emotions are impacting the person next to me who may also be late with me. And so from there, I'm making decisions based off my anxieties, my fears, my concerns, rather than making clear, conscious decisions based on the reality of the situation. That's one of the reasons why self-awareness is important. Number 2, it helps you build your emotional intelligence, okay? Empathy and emotional control, they all start with self-awareness. When you are aware of what's going on inside, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and in that you can define the parameters of who you are, where you begin and where you end. However, when we are not self-aware of where we begin and where we end, we lack boundaries for ourselves. When we lack boundaries for ourselves, we think we are limitless. Not to say that we can't do more, but we have to be honest that we can only be as much as we are. And there's nothing wrong with that because we can always grow to be better. But in that season, you have to know, hey, I lost 10 pounds, but that doesn't mean I can lift 100 pounds right now, right? Like it doesn't work like that. It's a process. So where I'm going with this is once we identify our parameters, we then build empathy within ourselves because we're like, man, I know my limits. So what's the limit of the teammate that's across from me? You start to see it different because now it's like, oh, I can't be as critical as I once was because I understand my perspective and how hard this was for me. And that's me. I can't even think of what this experience may be like for this other person and what they have to go through and the things they carry that I will never see and I will never know. And I think that honestly is what fosters better workplace relationships. And then the last reason why I think it matters in leadership is because it truly builds this level of authenticity and trust. Being a self-aware leader allows others to honestly just show up as they are. People now know that you are safe. And I don't think a lot of people think about that in the workplace. You cannot get the best out of anybody if they do not feel safe around you guys. If you do not build self-awareness, I promise you it's going to be very, very, very difficult for your team to be authentic. And more important, it's going to be very difficult for them to trust you. And then from there, you cannot get your teams back, okay? So from there, obviously that's why, these are the whys behind self-awareness. But what is the impact? Self-awareness empowers collaboration because now everyone is themselves, but more importantly, everyone knows the other person's limit. They're aware of it. You don't have to talk about it, but you just know. Susan, she's not the best with Excel, but she can make a mean flyer. When you can step into that and let Susan do Susan and Bob do Bob and Jim do Jim at their best, there's no team that works better than that. That's why when we watch sports, we loved seeing, and I love sports. I love basketball. We love seeing the Splash Brothers splash when three-pointers were not a big thing. Why? Because Steph and Clay is gonna Clay. And Dre is going to pass that ball perfectly every time. And maybe get a flagrant or two. I don't know, but that's Dre, okay? That's Draymond. But when we let people step in and people are self-aware, it just makes everything flow so much better. So, practical steps, okay, to make sure we're cultivating self-awareness. 1, get feedback, y'all. Talk to your people. People that you truly trust, who are trusted advisors, mentors. Get that input. Just ask, hey, how do you think I did on this? Because I want to be better. And make sure to have your why ready. Be ready to say, hey, this is why I'm asking. I want to be better. I want to improve my self-awareness. I want to cultivate my self-awareness. And I just want to get your feedback because I trust you and I know your character. Knowing somebody's character is so important when seeking feedback. Don't just seek it just because, but also be ready for the feedback. Don't ask if you are not ready and then get upset. If you are not ready, take your time because self-awareness is a process, okay? The next, reflection. Schedule some time for silence. Like in the morning when I'm going to work, there's a significant period of time where it's just meditation music playing and I'm just thinking. You will think about a lot. You will think about a lot and you will reflect on a lot. Maybe the day prior, maybe even envisioning what you hope is going to happen the day of. It's very helpful, okay? So in conclusion, self-awareness, as we have learned, truly has a ripple effect on our team's success. And so I want to invite you all to start your self-awareness journey during 2025. Try one of the practical steps I provided, okay? I cannot wait to see y'all in the next one. If y'all enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please share your experience in the comments below, and please subscribe. I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all stay unfolded. Peace.